Hello, in this video we will talk about the solutions of quadratic equations. So we consider a quadratic equation which is az square plus bz plus constant is equal to 0. Here in this equation the constants a, b and c are real numbers and the variable z is a complex variable. Okay, if we are asked to solve this kind of equation, the very basic formula to solve this equation is the quadratic formula. What's the quadratic formula? The quadratic formula says minus b plus minus b square minus 4ac divided by 2a. Okay, so if we use this formula, we can find the roots of the given complex equation, quadratic equation. So the question is when we will get complex roots and when we will get real roots. Here we have 2 points. So the first point is the discriminant. For example, what is discriminant here? In the thing which is inside the square root is called the discriminant. I can call it d, b square minus 4ac. So if we talk about this discriminant, it has 2 possibilities. The first one is either d is greater than or equal to 0, and the second possibility is either d is less than 0. If the first possibility is true, if this is the possibility, then we say the quadratic equation has real solutions. Why real solutions? Because it is positive. In other words, it is non-negative. When anything inside the square root is positive or non-negative, that means you cannot get iota or the complex number. You can only get the complex number when the thing inside the square root is negative. If this is the case, this means the thing inside the square root is negative. If inside the square root we have a negative number, then the solutions are complex. Okay, here we have an example. Solve the quadratic equation z square minus 6z plus 13 equals 0 inside C. Okay, here is the solution. We have the formula z is equal to minus b plus minus b square minus 4ac over 2a. What are a, b, c? A is equal to 1 because the coefficient of z square is 1, okay? And b is equal to minus 6 because the coefficient of z is minus 6. And similarly, c is equal to 13 because the constant term is 13. If we put these values here in this formula, we can get minus b is minus 6, so I will write minus 6, plus and minus b square means minus 6 square, minus 4ac, 4 times a is 1, c is 13, over 2a, 2 times a is 1. Okay, now if I solve this thing using calculator, I will have minus minus plus, plus 6 plus minus 36 minus 52 divided by 2. So I have 6 plus minus square root minus 16 over 2. Okay, 6 plus minus square root of 16 is 4, but square root of negative is iota. So I will write square root of 16 is 4 and square root of negative is iota. So I will write 4 iota divided by 2. Okay, now I will write this part to the real part and in the denominator of the imaginary part also. So I can write 6 by 2 plus and minus 4 iota by 2, which is equal to 3 plus minus 2 iota. You can write in this way 3 plus 2 iota and 3 minus 2 iota. Once you will write with plus and then you will write with minus, the same thing. So these are the two solutions of the given quadratic equations. You can check it is the quadratic equation, and if we solve this quadratic equation you can get negative number inside the square root, and it's clear when you have a negative number inside the square root you will get an iota, which is a complex number. So as a result you get the complex solutions rather than pure real solutions. One important point is that if he asks you to solve this quadratic equation inside R rather than the set of complex number, then what will you do? You will do the same calculations. After this step you will say, since there is no real number whose square is negative 16, that means we cannot find this square root inside the real numbers, because in order to solve this square root we need iota, but iota is a complex number. Okay, but if we are asked to solve this equation in real numbers instead of complex number, then you will say, since iota is a complex number, so without iota we cannot solve this thing inside the real numbers, so we will say this equation has no solution inside the real number. So if it says solve this thing in the set of complex number, then you can solve it the same way. Let's do another example. So if we are asked to solve this equation 6z square minus z minus 1 is 0, what you will do? Here is the solution. Here a is equal to minus 6, b is equal to minus 1, c is equal to minus 1. A is equal to plus 6 because a corresponds to the coefficient of z square, b corresponds to coefficient of z, and c is the constant. Okay, so a, b, c are found from the given equation. Now you can use quadratic formula. Quadratic formula is z is minus b plus minus b square minus 4ac over 2a. If you put the values you will get negative b is negative 1, so plus minus b square means negative 1 square minus 4 times a times c. A is 6 and c is minus 1, okay, over 2a, 2 times 6. Now using calculator you can check this minus and this minus is plus, so I will write plus 1, plus and minus 1. Now this minus and this minus will become plus, so I will write plus 4 times 6, which is 24 divided by 2 times 6, okay, which is equal to 1 plus minus 25 divided by 12. This is equal to 1 plus minus 5 by 12. Once you will write, because the square root of 25 is 5, once you will write with plus and then with minus. 1 plus 5 by 2, 12, and 1 minus 5 by 12. 6 by 12, comma, minus 4 by 12. If I cancel these things, it's 1 by 2 and it's negative 1 by 3. So these are two solutions. Since both solutions are real because they don't involve iota. Why they don't involve iota? Because this time the thing which is inside the square root was positive. When any number inside the square root is positive, when we solve it, it gives you no number involving iota. So iota will not be involved. So therefore we will get real solutions. Okay. So this equation has solutions inside the real numbers also. Okay. So in this way you can solve any kind of quadratic equation. Either it is in real or it is in complex, but you have to make sure if he asks you to find the solutions in the real line, then you will make sure that nothing inside the square root is negative. If he asks you to find the solutions inside the complex numbers, then inside the square root can be anything. It can be positive or negative. It can have solution.